You know what's wild? It's that I knew you. Like, honestly, we knew each other before we were even born because we were in the womb together, which is really crazy. Yeah.
Roommates.
We were roommates. We were roommates.
How do we express our love differently, and how do you think it affects our relationship? We kind of just talked about it.
We talked about it, that you express your love very intensely, very vividly, and obviously, and intensely with everyone and family, including family. But since I'm more reserved with this kind of expression, sometimes I get overwhelmed by it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I'm like, oh, Camilla, calm down or stop, so that way.
You have to tell me to stop then.
No, it's just when you send like 50 emojis in a row and like everything in caps.
Okay, what about our relationship do you never want to forget?
I don't want to forget that, we'll always be together. I hope.
Oh God,
we'll be together.
Knock on wood. There's a bunch of wood here.
Yeah, no, but I'm just I just always want to always have that connection. Even if somebody comes into our life, it's easy to focus on the other person. But I always want to remember that we're here for each other. So yeah, which I think is easy to forget because we're twins. So I always think it'll be
that. Yeah, we take that for granted.
So I don't want to forget that.
What's something we carry that we should both let go of?
OCD. Or more specifically, the need to understand, the need to be understood 100% by each other.
Yes.
And also, I would be okay with just not being understood.
That's a OCD therapy too. It's we'll probably understand in the morning.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
And that's okay too.
Yeah. The probability is that we will understand.
Yeah.
Even if we never talk about it again.
Yeah.
But there is a possibility that we won't.
Have to, so what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just the stuff we do with our friends.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't have to 100% understand to love my friends.
Yeah. It's just hard. I think the fear of losing the I don't want you as my friend. I want you as my twin sister, which is such a unique thing. You know, there's this fear of losing the twin sister thing that's we 100% understand each other.
Yeah.
And because that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
But I'm also looking back when we were kids, we probably didn't.
Yeah.
Our parents would settle our fights.
Yeah.
And then it would be over, Now it's we have to settle them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, okay. How would our relationship be different if we weren't twins?
I think about that sometimes.
I've never thought about that really.
If we were just regular sisters, or if we didn't have the same face.
I feel like, if anything, I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know if it would change our relationship, as long as we were the same age, or at least even if we were a year between each other. I feel like we would still probably carry ourselves the same. If anything, it'd probably change the perception of the world,
right? Not us.
How they perceive us.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be so much
But then maybe it would change because we would have different experiences. Even if I was a year younger than you, I'd be in a different grade. We've done a lot of the same.
We're the same age, yeah.
Right. So it's not oh, you're off to high school and I'm still in middle school or whatever like that. It's we are, because that would have been a completely different experience for you, because you would have been going to a different school doing it by yourself. So I don't know.
Yeah, I see that.
But yeah.
Okay. If we weren't twins, just strangers, do you think we would be friends?
No.
Really?
I don't think we would be friends. We've talked about this.
I don't remember talking about this.
In high school, we would talk about it, and we would be if we were in high school together and we weren't sisters, we wouldn't even talk to each other.
Well, maybe in high school, but I'm talking about if as adults,
Yeah.
you know, do you think, or no?
I don't know. I think in this past year, I feel like I've gotten out of the going out every night, every weekend phase. I mean, like during that, no, you didn't. That was not your scene. So we would obviously be missing out. Not saying that I don't. I just don't think that we would have ever found each other to even be friends. You know, I am so glad that we are, because I feel like I would be a completely different person. I feel like you like bring me back down a little bit sometimes to reality, like really like ground me. And you also feel like show me like this whole other world of like creativity and like art, and I am so thankful for that. Like I love when we go to art museum and I'm like, Liz, who painted this? I don't know why, but like when would I have ever experienced that, you know? It's not like mom and dad are like, yeah, mom went to art school, but like it's not like they're really like in the arts, like in the culture, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know, I just like, I feel very lucky.
I do too.
What do I bring to you, Liz? Going out? No, I'm kidding. I probably get you out of your comfort zone a little.
That's just funny to hear you say that.
What?
You know, that you don't think. I'm not insulted, because if
Do you think that we would be?
If I'm really honest with myself, probably, I guess I would love to say yes, but I guess if I'm really honest with myself, I think you're probably right.
Well, and I think because I know that if we weren't sisters, we would be different. I would be even more extreme
right.
on my whatever, and you would be more even the other extreme. We kind of bring each other back a little bit and mix, you know?
Yeah.
How did you feel the night that you came out to me? And I was on my video game playing 2K, and he was like, hey, Kobe, I gotta tell you something.
It was very, you know, coordinated.
And how did you feel when I freaked out? Because when you told me that and you came out to me, that wasn't like what? Like, I freaked out and I went to talk to mom and dad. How'd you feel?
It just, I probably would have, if it would have been, because you was my person, like, you was my twin brother. I didn't come out to my sisters. I didn't come out to mom or dad. I didn't come out to my best friend. I came out to you, because you was my twin brother. You was the person I thought I was going to go through high school with, and I was going to be 100% myself. And then to, you know, realize, like, damn, like, you looked at me like I was a monster. Like, there's something wrong with me. And I remember, I remember that day like it was yesterday. I mean, I've definitely gotten over it, but it could have been worse, you know? Like, what if you wasn't my brother? What if I feel like if I was in your shoes, me and you would not be talking to this day. Like, I was over dramatic about the whole situation. I mean, I apologize. Like, I don't know if I ever apologized. I'm sorry I did that, because like, if you did that to me, I probably wouldn't talk to you, because like, that's big. Like, you came out to me, you told me, like, that was big, and I like just ran to mom and dad and was like, bro, Kyle's, what the fuck's wrong with him? Like I said, my situation could have been completely different.
What's your greatest insecurity in our relationship, and how can I better support you in it?
I think the biggest insecurity, or like the smallest.
Well, it says it says greatest. I mean, greatest means biggest, right? So.
I think the greatest insecurity I have in our relationship is that, like, I won't be able to live up to who, like, you think I am. Like, I won't be able to, like, run with you, like, in ministry and all that stuff, like, the way that we've dreamed. You know, that's, like, the insecurity for me, is that, like, I'm not at the level that you are. Like, in as far as, like, a relationship with God,
So do you feel like you're always like having to measure up to me?
Yeah. But like not.
I wonder if that's just because we're twins, or if that's like a normal thing in siblings.
But you know, like ever since like we're little, like I couldn't even speak for myself. Like we had like our own language.
We literally had our own language.
We had our own language, and I would be like mumbling.
Mom would ask me to translate.
And like literally, like you were the one that was like always like speaking for me and doing things, you know, and like you were always like super like outgoing and like out there, and like I just felt like I couldn't measure up to that. I'm like, dang, I have to compare myself to like the way she is, or like I don't want you to have to take care of me. I think that was like a big thing for me too.
Yeah.
Because like you saw me like.
I mean, one day we're not gonna be like together all the time, which is hard to. Yeah. I mean, that's hard to believe. And that's a big insecurity. Like, what's going to happen like when we don't need to be together?
We're not going to be sleeping in the same bed.
No.
Yeah, I guess that is a really big insecurity. Is like, there's going to come a time.
We literally just got our own room like a few
we're
years
25.
ago.
We're 25 and we live with each other like still. But like there is going to be a time where like you're going to be in a different country probably, and I'm going to have to make my own lunch.
Edamame.
Right?
Make your own edamame.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine, like I can't imagine living
one day.
Like obviously life without you, like I would hate it. I mean, I always said, you're gonna get so mad that I said this, but I've always said that you're gonna go out with the bang.
You're the worst. Why'd you say that?
You're gonna die a martyr.
Why would you say that?
Because you're a legend. Like you're a legend.
Oh my God.
But like I couldn't imagine. Like I guess it's like a big insecurity for me. Because you did take care of me for a long time. And like obviously like we're so different. Like I like to take care of finances and like I'm pretty like structured when it comes to certain things like work and obviously different things, but you always have been like my big sister, even though we're twins.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't imagine like living life without you. Like even when you go on trips, like when you went to like Guatemala for a month or two, or like when you would travel a lot, it's like, dang, like I lived off of edamame for like, in Sriracha for like a whole month. Damn.
You looked good that summer though.
Dang. Low blow.
No, I was being serious, you did.
Yeah. But yeah, like I guess it's a big insecurity. Like I can't imagine living life without you. But also that comparison thing. I'm sorry. That's not a you thing. That's a me thing, for sure.